Welcome dear students. We are discussing the chapter number 7. Already we have got the concept of human settlement. We have got also the concept of mode of transportation, and regarding the modes of transportation we are discussing in details regarding the different types of transportation. Today we will discuss about the railways, and airways will also give the emphasis, and we will try to find out the differences between them. So first of all, the students, it is the question to you: what do you mean by the railway system, and how can we recognize it is railway, how far it is different from the roadway system? So in case of the roadways, what we used to see, we used to see that the vehicles they used to run on the roads. But in case of the railway, there is a particular track, there is a particular track on which the trains or the goods carrier they used to run. So it is not like the roadways. It has the different it is different from the roadways in respect of the line on which it is particularly run. So it is the major difference between the roadways and the railways. So railways, what are the benefits of the railways? We will discuss first of all. The most important aspect of the railway carry heavy goods and people over the long distance quickly and cheaply. So it is cheaper. We have to keep it in mind. Railway is cheaper than the roadways. It is also cheaper than the air transportation, but it is not cheaper than the waterways. So if we compare the three modes of transportation, roadways, railways and airways, waterways will be the cheapest mode of transportation, but railway is cheaper than roadways as well as also airways. It can carry the bulk amount of goods, huge amount of goods at a time, and passengers also. So it is cheap. So as these kind of transportation system can carry the huge amount of passengers and the goods at a time, that is why it is cheaper. But in case of the roadways, it is not cheaper. In roadways is not cheaper because it is not able to carry the huge number of passengers and goods at a time. That is why railway is important for the long distance travel. So for the long distance travel, to carry the huge amount of material, obviously railway is efficient. Now what make the revolution in railway system? Look at the invention of the steam engine, and the industrial revolution helped speedy development of rail transport. Industrial development had taken place in England, and during this time, due to the enormous development in technology, it revolutionized also the transport system. One of the most important invention was the invention of steam engine. But at present we have to keep in mind that steam engine is not the only system by which we used to pull the train or the goods carrier. There are also we have introduced the diesel engine, electric engines. In maximum areas nowadays we are giving the emphasis on the use of electric engines because it is environment friendly. It can reduce the use of electric engines, can reduce the environmental pollution. So nowadays we are replacing that the steam engine, even also the diesel engine. Now what in places superfast trains have been introduced to make the journey faster. First of all, I will take the example of India. Superfast trains like Rajdhani Express, like Shatabdi Express, and many of the such express trains has been introduced, those which can cover the distance comparatively in the short time than the any other passenger trains. Next one, in India, we are also thinking to introduce the super fast train, which is mostly similar to the bullet train of any other advanced countries. In India, for the transportation of the goods, already we have developed a corridor, means only for carrying the goods. We have constructed a separate railway track or the route that is also helpful for the easy transportation. Next one, we are coming to the some some of the discussion where we can see that the commuter trains are very much popular. Commuter trains means the passenger trains. Such passenger trains are very popular in UK, USA, Japan, and India. In India, commuter trains are known as the local trains, and they also are referred as the suburban railway service. So, in your locality, whatever the local trains are plying by the those which are plying, they are example of the suburban railway system. Next one, the railway network, where we can see that the development of railway network. First of all, we have to keep in mind any transport system used to develop on the basis of the demand. Demand of what? Demand of the routes. So where the population concentration is very high, in such places we can see that the development of railway system, very particularly the plain areas, they are very much important in this regard, because it is not only the plain terrain which can be helpful to lie the railway tracks to develop the railway network. It is also equally important as an industrial region. It is also important for the human habituation. So we can see that the development or the dense network of railway service is available mainly in the plain areas. In the mountainous region, in the desert region, it is very difficult to construct the railway system. But there are also lots of examples where we have overcome such kinds of problems, natural problems. If we take the example from India, the Konkan Railway in the western, along with the Western Ghat, is an example of engineering marvel. Konkan Railway is one of the important achievements of Indian railways, and it has been constructed in 1998. It is mostly the 760-kilometer long rail route connecting Roha in Maharashtra to Mangalore in Karnataka. It is constructed with the engineering marvels. Why it is referred as the engineering marvels? Because it crosses 146 numbers of rivers, and there are nearly 2000 bridges. So why I have given this example has been given to you to make you understand that in the hilly and the mountainous region, construction of the railway track or line of the railway tracks or introduction of the railway route is very difficult. According to your textbook, you will get also the example of the railway system of China, which is connecting Lhasa, that is mostly at the altitude of 4000 meter, and highest point of it is 5072 meter. In India, there is also such type of railway system we have constructed. We have provided the railway service in Jammu and Kashmir. This is also an example of such railway route which is very difficult to construct. So I think you have got the concept why railway network will be very dense, and how can we develop the railway system, how can we introduce the railway service in the mountainous and the any other adverse condition of weather and climate. The railway network is well developed over the plain areas. Advanced technology skills have enabled line of railway lines in difficult mountain terrains also. That example already I have told you, that is the Konkan railway system. That is also the example of the Chinese railway system, which is connecting Lhasa, and also the introduction of railway in Jammu and Kashmir. Next one, but these are much fewer in number. Indian railway network is well developed. It is the largest in Asia. So now we are coming to the little bit detailed study regarding the Indian railway. First of all, we have to keep in mind Indian railways network is one of the longest in the world. It facilitates the movement of the both freight and passengers and contributes to the growth of the economy. According to Mahatma Gandhi, what Mahatma Gandhi said? Mahatma Gandhi said the Indian railways brought the people of diverse cultures together to contribute the India's freedom struggle. So according to Mahatma Gandhi, this Indian railway is significant in independence. Why? Because the ideas, the movement ideas of the different philosophers, different freedom fighters, they had been spreaded all over the country with the help of the Indian railway. Side by side, it has been referred as the diverse culture can be bind up. We can go from one place to another place very easily with the help of the railway system. So to explore the Indian culture, this is also very much important. Now, how many types of railway are there? I think it is not given in your textbook, but for your convenience, please remember this one. How many types of railway are there all over the world? There are three types of railway system. One is referred as the broad gauge, another is referred as the meter gauge, another is referred as the narrow gauge. So broad gauge railway system, what is the meaning of the broad gauge? Whatever you generally see that the train is lying on which track, they are referred as the broad gauge. What is the distance between, what is the gauge? Gauge means that the gap or the distance between the two rails, two tracks, it is referred as the gauge. So 1.676 meter, 1.676 meter gap between distance between the two rails, it is referred as the broad gauge. Next one, meter gauge, the distance between the rails is 1 meter, it is referred as the meter gauge. And narrow gauge, the distance between the rails, in this case 0.762 meter to 0.610 meter, this is referred as the narrow gauge railway. So narrow gauge railway mainly found in Himalayan region very particularly, which is known as very popularly, which is known as the toy train. You know, where we can see that the toy train, very particularly in Darjeeling, Kalka, we can see that the such type of railway system. Meter gauge, it is mostly not available in India because maximum meter gauge line, narrow gauge line, for the convenience of the passengers, we have converted it to the broad gauge. Next one, Indian Railway. Indian Railway, how they manage the movement of the passengers, how they manage the movement of the trains, etc. There are 16 numbers of railway zones. What they are, like the Central Railway, Eastern Railway, East Central Railway, West Central Railway, Western, Southeastern, such type of railway zones are there, which usually inspect, which usually look after the movement of the trains, which usually maintain that the railway tracks, etc. The most significant development in the present day in railway service in India is the introduction of metro rail. The maximum metropolitan cities of our country nowadays, it is equipped with the metro rail. There is the metro service. The first metro railway service, it was started in Kolkata in 1984. It was started. Next one, the most of the important dense and as well as also dense metro railway system has been started in Delhi. So these are also important to avoid to overcome the problems of traffic jam. So why the railway system is important? We can say it is cheaper. It is also very much efficient to carry the materials from one place to another in bulk amount. It is efficient for the long distance. It is comparatively less time taking. Next one, it is also side by side important to avoid the traffic jam, to avoid the traffic congestion in the country, in the different metropolitan cities. So these are the major aspects of the railway I have discussed. Now we will proceed to the next portion of that railway system. Here you are getting that the Trans-Siberian Railway, which is the world's longest railway system connecting St. Petersburg in West Russia to Vladivostok on the Pacific coast. So this is an example of the Transcontinental Railway. So whatever you are seeing here, the map which is given in your textbook, the diagram which is given, the route which is given, it is an example of what type of railway system. It is known as the Transcontinental Railway. So what is the meaning of the Transcontinental Railway? Transcontinental railways run across continent and link its two ends. Look at the map which is given in your textbook. It is connecting one end, that is the western side of Russia, that is St. Petersburg, and it is connecting also that the easternmost part, that is Vladivostok. This railway system, such type of railway system are referred as the Transcontinental Railway. So Transcontinental Railway, they were constructed for the economic and the political reasons to facilitate long runs in different directions. The most important is the Trans-Siberian Railway. What is the length of it? Trans-Siberian Railway system, it has the length 9,332 kilometers. What are the features of it? It is double tracked and electrified railway route. This entire railway route, 9,332 kilometers, this distance, it is totally equipped with the electric facility, means the electrified Transcontinental Railway, and it is double tracked. It is also connecting the two ports in the two ends of the continent. One and another aspect of it, it also is connecting the Asian part of Russia. After this, there is also, after Vladivostok, there is also the railway line. It is also extended to connect to connect Beijing in China. So these are the features we have discussed today regarding the railway system. Now we are coming to the air transportation. Waterways already we have completed. Now we are coming to the air transportation. Airways, it is also important for the very hilly region, mountainous region,